night cracked with a scream muffled by pillows, and Maya whispered, "Why did you leave me with nothing but this broken silence?" Her chest ached as she pressed her face into the worn sheets, the ghost of love still clinging to her skin. The city outside raged with storm winds that echoed her heart, windows trembling against thunder that refused to soften. Her hands clenched the blanket as though holding on would stop the emptiness from drowning her whole. She muttered, "I gave you my trust, and you burned it like paper in the rain." Shadows danced on the wall like cruel memories refusing to fade. Maya rose, her breath sharp, her legs shaking. And in the mirror she saw her mahogany skin glisten with tears. She hissed, "No man should own my pain, yet here I am, chained to it." A knock shattered the room, heavy and uninvited, dragging her heart into panic. She wiped her cheeks, trembling, whispering, "Not tonight, please not tonight." The door creaked open, and Adrian's tall figure filled the frame, his dark espresso skin lit by lightning, his eyes unreadable. He said coldly, "Our agreement begins now." Maya's breath stuttered as Adrian stepped deeper into the room, his shoes echoing against the hardwood like judgment itself. She whispered, "Why are you here now?" But he ignored the plea. He said, "Because what we agreed to cannot wait." She turned, her tears hot, her voice cutting sharp as glass. "I never agreed to surrender my soul." His expression remained cold, yet his eyes flickered with something buried too deep to name. The storm roared louder, the walls trembling as though the world mirrored her heart. She stepped back, hands raised as though warding off a demon. He lowered his voice, deliberate, "You're my wife now. By choice or by force, the vow binds you." She gasped, fury breaking through her fear. "Marriage is not a prison, Adrian." His jaw clenched, but his silence screamed louder than thunder. Maya's knees weakened, yet she refused to crumble. She whispered, "I never wanted this life," her voice cracking with the weight of every broken dream. Adrian's gaze hardened as he replied, "Then you should not have signed." Her tears blurred the room, but she spat back, "I signed because you left me no choice." He stepped closer, every movement heavy, like shadows devouring light. She lifted her chin, her dark eyes blazing. "You don't know love, Adrian. All you know is power." His lips curled in bitter disdain as he muttered, "Love is weakness, survival is power." The words sank into her chest like a knife, cutting deeper than thunder ever could. The storm outside screamed as though echoing her rage. Maya shouted, "You don't own me." Adrian's stare burned cold as he said, "Ownership is survival in this world." Her body shook, her voice rising, "I am not a possession, I am a person." He leaned in closer, his breath sharp, his eyes a storm of secrets, and whispered, "Then prove you can survive without me." Her throat tightened, her words trembling yet fierce, "I'd rather starve in freedom than feast in your cage." The silence that followed was louder than thunder, both of them breathing heavy, locked in a war no storm could drown. Maya collapsed onto the bed, her strength breaking like glass under weight. She buried her face in her palms, whispering, "God, give me courage." Adrian turned away, his silhouette dark against the lightning-struck window. He muttered, "Courage will not save you here." She raised her head, her eyes glistening fire through tears. "Then I will burn with it." He froze, his hand on the doorframe, his silence carved heavier than words. For the first time, doubt cracked his armor, though he hid it behind the storm's roar. She pressed her hand to her chest, steadying her breath, knowing the battle had only begun. Morning sunlight slipped into the cramped apartment, but Maya sat at the edge of her bed, her braids damp with the night's storm, her body heavy with exhaustion. She whispered, "I am not weak. I will not be broken," though her hands trembled against her lap. The small kitchen clattered with sound as her best friend Layla prepared tea, her voice sharp with worry. "You can't let him own you, Maya." Maya bit her lip, her tears threatening, and said, "But he already signed my name in chains." Layla turned, her honey brown eyes unflinching. "Chains can be broken. You carry fire in your chest, girl, don't forget that." Maya exhaled, her voice trembling but steady. Fire burns Layla. Sometimes it burns me first. A silence filled the room, broken only by the hiss of boiling water, as Layla reached for her hand and whispered, "Then let it burn everything that tries to cage you." Maya held the steaming cup but did not drink, her eyes lost in the swirl of rising steam. She said softly, "He doesn't believe in love, only power." Layla leaned against the counter, her arms crossed, voice steady, "Then love him with your defiance, not your surrender." Maya looked up sharply, whispering, "Defiance can cost me everything." Layla's jaw tightened, her voice unwavering, "And surrender will cost you yourself." Maya lowered her gaze, pressing her palms to the warm porcelain, as if drawing strength from it. The ticking clock grew louder, each second reminding her of the vow she had signed. She whispered, "I feel like I'm losing myself already." Layla stepped closer, her voice softer. "Don't lose yourself, Maya. Make him face who you are." Later that day, Maya stood by the cracked window, watching the city breathe beneath gray skies. She whispered, "The world feels so far away, yet it judges me still." Adrian's voice cut the silence, deep and firm. "The world doesn't care for your feelings, only results." She spun to see him standing in the doorway, sharp suit pressed, his presence colder than the air outside. Maya's lips trembled, her voice harsh. "Why did you choose me for this prison?" Adrian's expression gave nothing, his words calm, "Because you're strong enough to endure it." Anger boiled in her chest as she hissed, "Endure? Or suffer for your pride?" He stepped closer, shadows swallowing him, his gaze fixed and unyielding. "Call it pride," he said, "but you'll learn it's survival." Maya stood frozen, her chest rising fast, as Layla entered with groceries in hand. She looked between them, her eyes narrowing. "Layla," said sharply, "your presence poisons this room, Adrian." His lips curved into a faint, cold smile. "I'm here for my wife." Maya's voice cracked as she whispered, "I am not yours to claim like property." Layla stepped closer, her voice low, "She's more than your contract, and you know it." Adrian's eyes flashed, his words slicing, "Contracts bind stronger than hearts." Maya's tears threatened, but she held her chin high, whispering, "Then my heart will rebel no matter the paper." The silence that followed was thick, broken only by the sound of Layla's grocery bag hitting the floor. After Adrian left, silence weighed heavy. Layla gathered the scattered groceries, her movements sharp with anger. She muttered, "He drains the light wherever he walks." Maya dropped onto the couch, her voice hoarse, "And yet I'm bound to his shadow." Layla paused, her gaze softening as she said, "You're bound, yes, but you're not broken." Maya stared at the ceiling, her tears drying into stubbornness, whispering, "I'll find my way out, even if I bleed for it." Layla placed a hand on her arm, her voice steady but pained, "Promise me you won't lose yourself first." Maya closed her eyes, her whisper carried on the still air, "I promise nothing but the fight." The evening air carried the weight of silence as Maya stepped into Adrian's penthouse, her breath catching at the vastness that contrasted with her small apartment. She whispered, "This isn't a home, it's a fortress." Adrian's voice echoed cold against marble walls. "A fortress is safer than the world outside." She turned, her braids brushing her cheek, her eyes sharp. "Safe for who, Adrian? For me, or for your pride?" His gaze darkened, his jaw rigid, "For us both, though you don't see it yet." She laughed bitterly, the sound sharp against the sterile air. "I see cages even when they're made of gold." He stepped closer, his tailored suit crisp, his expression unreadable. "You'll learn to appreciate protection when the world comes for you." Her voice cracked but held steady. "I'd rather face the world than be suffocated in silence." The storm of their words lingered, heavier than the night itself. Maya drifted to the window, staring at the glittering city lights below. She whispered, "All of this means nothing without freedom." Adrian's reflection appeared beside her in the glass, his voice low. "Freedom is an illusion people cling to when they're powerless." Her chest tightened, her hand pressing against the cool pain. "Maybe, but illusions keep people alive." He turned slightly, eyes piercing, "And illusions get people destroyed." She spun toward him, her voice fierce. Then let me be destroyed on my own terms. His silence carried more weight than thunder, the tension between them sharp as broken glass. The sound of a phone buzzing broke the stillness, Adrian's expression flickering as he glanced at the screen. Maya narrowed her eyes. Who keeps calling you at midnight? He slipped the phone back into his pocket, his voice clipped. Business never sleeps. She crossed her arms, her voice cutting. Business or secrets? His stare hardened, his tone cold. Don't question what you don't understand. She stepped closer, anger sparking. Then help me understand, Adrian. Or are you afraid of what I'll see? His silence was louder than his denial, and she whispered, secrets will destroy us faster than the world ever could. Later, Maya stood in the kitchen, her fingers tracing the edge of the marble counter as Layla's voice echoed in her memory. Don't let him bury your fire. Adrian entered quietly, his footsteps sharp on the polished floor. He said softly, you hate me, yet you stand here. She turned, her voice trembling with fury. I don't hate you. I hate the chains you carry into my life. His eyes flickered with something fragile before he whispered, chains are all I know. Her heart clenched, but her voice stayed firm. Then maybe it's time you break them before they break us both. Night deepened, the city humming far below, as Maya sat curled on the leather sofa, her arms wrapped around her knees. She whispered, I am drowning in a silence that isn't mine. Adrian stood across the room, his posture rigid, his voice low. Silence keeps you safe. She lifted her chin, her eyes burning with defiance. No, silence kills me slowly. He flinched, barely visible, his mask cracking for a breath before returning. She added, her voice steady. If you want me beside you, Adrian, then you'll face my fire, not silence me. His stare lingered, unreadable, the weight of her words heavy as the midnight sky. Rain streaked the penthouse windows as Maya rifled through a drawer, her fingers trembling over papers that bore Adrian's signature. Her whisper cut the silence. What are you hiding from me? The ink bled into her vision like poison. Adrian entered, his voice low and sharp. That drawer is not for you. She turned, her braids falling across her face, her eyes blazing. Then why lock it like a tomb? He advanced slowly, his gaze unreadable, because some truths kill faster than lies. Maya's breath shook, her words steady though her heart thundered. I would rather die knowing than live chained to shadows. His silence fell like judgment, but his eyes betrayed a crack in his armor. Maya slammed the papers onto the desk, her voice fierce. This company you guard with blood isn't yours. It was stolen. Adrian's jaw clenched, his tone icy. You know nothing of what I've built. She stepped forward, her hands shaking, built on lies and betrayal. How many did you bury to stand so tall? His breath deepened, his silence sharp, before he whispered, I buried myself first. Her fury cracked, confusion flooding her voice. What does that mean, Adrian? His gaze fell, shadows swallowing him. It means everything you love about me was born from someone else's ruin. The door swung open suddenly, and Layla stepped inside, her eyes narrowing at the tension. She said sharply, Tell her the truth, Adrian, or I will. Maya spun, her chest heaving. Layla, what do you know? Layla's voice shook but held steady. Your marriage wasn't about love. It was about saving his empire from collapse. Adrian's jaw tightened as Maya gasped. So I was a pawn in your war. His voice cut through the storm, low and raw. You were my salvation when everything else crumbled. Maya's tears blurred her vision, her voice trembling. No, Adrian, I was your transaction. Maya's scream cut through the silence. You traded my freedom for your fortune. Adrian's voice rose, raw and unguarded. I traded my soul to keep the wolves from tearing me apart. She staggered back, her voice cracking, and you let them devour me instead. He reached for her, but she stepped away, her tears burning. Layla's voice pierced the storm. Maya, don't let his ruin become yours. Adrian's eyes softened, his voice desperate. I wanted to protect you from the hunger that destroyed me. Maya's reply came in a whisper sharp as glass. You protected nothing but your pride. The weight of silence fell again, broken only by Maya's trembling breath. She whispered, I thought I was fighting for love, but I was just fighting your ghosts. Adrian's voice cracked for the first time. You are the only thing real in my life. She shook her head, her voice heavy. Then why bury me under lies? His hands dropped helplessly at his sides, his broad frame trembling under the storm's glow. Layla's whisper cut like a blade, because truth was never his foundation. Maya's eyes burned with fire, her whisper sealing the moment. Then this marriage was never mine. The storm outside mirrored the storm within as Maya stood at the center of the penthouse, her voice rising like thunder. I will not be your salvation if it means losing myself. Adrian's chest heaved, his eyes burning with restrained fury. And I will not let you leave when the world waits to devour you. Her tears blurred her sight, yet her voice cut sharp. I'd rather be devoured than caged. He stepped forward, his shadow engulfing her, whispering through clenched teeth, You think the world is kinder than me? She shouted, her hands trembling. No, but at least it is honest. His silence cracked the room, and for the first time his voice broke. You are the only truth I've ever had. Her breath caught, torn between fury and aching sorrow. Maya pressed her palms to his chest, her voice trembling but unyielding. Your truth is built on ruins, Adrian. He gripped her wrists, not with violence but desperation, whispering, Those ruins are all I have left. Her tears spilled hot against her cheeks as she cried, Then you've made me another ruin. He released her suddenly, stepping back, his face shadowed with pain he could no longer hide. I was broken long before you, he said hoarsely, but you remind me of the man I could have been. She shook her head, fury burning through grief. I am not here to rebuild you while you break me. Silence fell, heavier than thunder, their breathing ragged as if each word was a wound. The front door burst open, and a figure from Maya's past stepped inside, his voice smooth and dangerous. Did you really think ghosts stay buried? Maya gasped, her body trembling as she whispered, Marcus. Adrian's eyes narrowed, his voice sharp. You're not welcome here. Marcus smirked, his gaze lingering on Maya. You married her to save your empire, but she was mine before your money ever touched her. Maya's heart shattered, her voice breaking. You have no claim on me, Marcus. His eyes gleamed with malice. Everyone claims you, Maya. That's the curse of your fire. Adrian's fists clenched, rage burning in his silence. The air thickened, each second pulling them toward inevitable eruption. Adrian's voice erupted, raw and violent. You lost her the moment you betrayed her trust. Marcus laughed coldly, his tone cutting. And you think chaining her to your name makes you better? Maya stepped forward, her tears fierce fire now. Neither of you owns me. The storm outside roared as if echoing her cry. Marcus sneered. You'll always belong to the past, Maya. Her voice cracked into fury. No, I belong only to myself. Adrian's eyes softened, his voice rough. Then prove it. Choose your freedom. Maya's chest rose, her breath trembling, the choice heavy as thunder pressing against her bones. The room exploded with silence as Maya raised her hand, her voice steady as steel. I am not your salvation, your ruin, or your past. I am mine. Marcus flinched, his smirk fading. Adrian's breath caught, his walls collapsing as his voice broke. Maya, she cut him off, her tone sharp. No, Adrian. If you love me, then you set me free. The storm rattled the glass, her words louder than thunder, her tears turning into fire. Marcus stepped back into the shadows, defeated by the power in her stance. Adrian bowed his head, his hands trembling at his sides, the weight of her truth finally breaking him. She whispered once more, freedom is the only vow I'll keep. The storm eased into drizzle as Maya sat near the window, her reflection blurred in the glass. She whispered, the world feels lighter when truth is spoken, even if it cuts. Adrian stood behind her, his voice raw and heavier when silence is broken. She turned slightly, her braids clinging to damp cheeks, her words low. You wanted to save me, Adrian, but you only saved yourself. His hands trembled at his sides, his reply hoarse. I don't know how to save anyone. She rose, her steps slow but sure. Then don't save me. Stand beside me or let me go. His eyes softened for the first time, the cold mask slipping. If I let you go, he whispered, there will be nothing left. Her breath caught, but her gaze stayed firm, the weight of choice heavy in the quiet rain. Morning came soft, painting the sky in pale gray, as Maya stepped onto the balcony, the cool air brushing her skin. She whispered, every sunrise asks me who I am becoming. Adrian followed, his voice quiet. And who are you becoming, Maya? She turned, the wind stirring her braids, her eyes steady, someone who refuses to be owned. He bowed his head, his shoulders heavy. Then I've already lost you. She stepped closer, her tone sharp but tender. You lost me the moment you chose power over love. His silence lingered as the city stretched beneath them, unforgiving and vast. Maya inhaled deeply, the weight of freedom pressing against her chest. But maybe, she added, losing me will teach you how to find yourself. Layla arrived later, her presence grounding as always, her voice cutting through the silence. You look like you've walked through fire, Maya. Maya smiled faintly, though her eyes burned. Maybe I did, but I'm still standing. Layla placed her hand on Maya's shoulder, her tone steady. Standing is not enough. You have to walk away if it hurts to stay. Adrian stood across the room, his voice barely audible. She has every right to leave me. Maya's gaze lingered on him, her voice trembling but strong. Leaving isn't betrayal, it's survival. Layla's eyes softened, her voice gentle. Then let survival guide you into freedom, not fear. The three stood in the same room, but the distance between them felt like worlds. As evening fell, Maya began packing her small suitcase, folding clothes with trembling hands. Adrian leaned against the doorway, his voice low. If you walk out now, there may be no return. She paused, her hands stilling over the fabric, whispering, I'm not walking away from you, I'm walking toward myself. His chest rose with sharp breaths, his words breaking, then at least take my truth with you. She turned, her gaze unflinching. Your truth is not my cage anymore. His eyes glistened, though he fought to hide it, his silence trembling with what he couldn't say. Maya zipped the suitcase shut, her tears falling like quiet goodbyes. The night settled with a heavy quiet as Maya stood at the door, her suitcase in hand. Layla waited beside her, her eyes steady with silent strength. Adrian's figure loomed in the background, his face shadowed, his voice hoarse. Maya, wait. She turned once, her braids brushing her cheeks, her tears glistening in the dim light. Goodbye, Adrian, she whispered, the words soft but final. His lips parted, but no words came, only silence that echoed through the vast room. Layla touched Maya's arm, guiding her forward, her whisper firm, You've chosen yourself tonight. The door closed behind them with a sound heavier than thunder, leaving Adrian alone in the hollow silence of his empire. The night air wrapped around Maya as she stepped into the street, the drizzle turning her braids damp, the city lights blurring in her tears. She whispered, This is freedom, and it hurts. Layla's voice steadied her. Freedom always hurts before it heals. Maya inhaled, her chest heavy but alive. I thought I was losing everything, but maybe I was finding myself. Layla placed her arm around her, whispering, You're not lost, you're free. Behind them, the penthouse loomed like a shadow, Adrian's silhouette watching from the window above, his silence a scream against the glass. Maya turned her gaze forward, her steps slow but firm, whispering, No cage can follow me now. Inside the penthouse, Adrian stood alone, the silence echoing against marble walls. His breath shook as he whispered, I built an empire, but I couldn't keep her. His reflection in the glass mocked him, hollow eyes staring back. He pressed his palm against the cold window, muttering, I chained her because I was afraid of losing her, and in the end, I lost her anyway. The storm had ended, but inside him raged a storm no rain could cleanse. He sank into the leather chair, his head in his hands, whispering brokenly, She was my truth, and I buried it in lies. The silence that followed, felt like a grave. Maya and Layla walked along the dim-lit street, the hum of the city wrapping them in noise that felt like escape. Layla whispered, "He'll haunt you, Maya." Maya shook her head, her voice steady. "No, he will haunt himself." Her steps slowed, her tears drying into resolve. "I gave him every chance to choose love, but he chose pride instead." Layla squeezed her shoulder, whispering, "Then let pride be his prison, and freedom be yours." Maya lifted her chin, her eyes burning through the mist, whispering, "For once, I am not the victim. I am the fire." The words felt like rebirth against the night. The following morning, sunlight broke through gray clouds as Maya stood at the bus station, her suitcase beside her. She whispered, "A new beginning waits, even if the scars come with me." Layla hugged her tightly, murmuring, "Scars only prove you survive." Maya smiled faintly, her tears softer now, "And survival is my victory." In the distance, Adrian's car appeared but did not stop, his figure visible for a moment through tinted glass before it disappeared into traffic. Maya's chest rose with one deep breath, her voice trembling yet proud. "Let him vanish. I will not vanish with him." The bus pulled forward, the weight of choice solid in her hands. As the bus carried Maya away, she pressed her forehead against the window, the city fading behind her. She whispered, "Love does not cage, it frees." Her reflection stared back, older somehow, wiser with pain. Layla's voice lingered in memory, "You've chosen yourself tonight." Adrian's shadow dissolved into distance, his empire vast but hollow, his silence her final echo. Maya closed her eyes, whispering one last vow, "I will never forget, but I will never return." The wheels hummed like a heartbeat, steady and new, carrying her into a future both unknown and alive. The final silence lingered like smoke, haunting and unforgettable.